another tree, but I heard it's good for my mental health, so I don't mind at this point. Hello and welcome. This is Mother Earth. My name is Success Caminus, and you're welcome to another exciting episode where we talk environment and all that concerns it. Today, I'm under another tree, but you know where? Yes, I'm going to tell you where. It is at the Lekki Conservation Center, and I'm back to visit Dr. Onoja. Yes, I'm back to visit him. I enjoyed every episode I did with him. Very straight to the point, killer responses I got from him, and I thought to come back and, you know, continue to fetch from that well of knowledge. How about that? So, without further ado, welcome, Mr. Doctor, sorry, I'm not going to remove that. He is a, I did not finish calling your title, but welcome, Mr. Onoja.
Thank you very much.
So now I'm going to tell them what you are. You're in charge of the technical aspect, the technical department of NCF. And he's a doctor, but not just an ordinary doctor, a biologist, a conservation biologist. And so you can trust whatsoever this great man here has to say. Welcome, sir, once again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the accolades.
No, it's not an accolade, though. You have already earned it. I'm just saying who you are and telling them who you are.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome to the show once again. So we've spoken about a few topics, but today we'll be talking about deforestation. Deforestation in Africa, but our focal point is Nigeria. Yes, deforestation in it's so broad, and that's why I'm glad you are here to help us narrow it down and really explain to us. So, take it away, doctor.
All right, thank you very much. Deforestation in Africa, the African continent, and I'll drill down to Nigeria. It's a major problem. It's as we said in the last episode or episode before last. It's interconnected with the species survival, because where you have the forest ecosystem is where you have these species. So they serve as a habitat of these species. So they are intertwined. Their lives are intertwined, and we have gone a long way in clearing our forests. And I want to drill down now to Nigeria. Is a sorry episode. It's sorry states of our forest. In fact, as of 2005, when a study was conducted, Nigeria had the highest deforestation rate behind Honduras in the world.
In the world?
In the world, yes. We had a very high deforestation. We were deforesting about 35 to 40,000 square kilometers in a year.
In a year?
Yeah, in Nigeria.
Let me pause. Let me stop you there and say something. I feel like I've been learning a lot, and let me share so that you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So I researched and I heard also that the carbon dioxide that is extracted from the ecosystem, from our surroundings, these trees store them in their trunks in solid form. Yes. And then if we cut them down, it is the carbon that is stored in their trunks is exposed and released into the atmosphere again.
Yes. So actually we are doing it twice. Two negatives.
Wow.
Number one, these trees will not be available to sequester the carbon again. That's the name, sequester. To collect the carbon. Yes,
okay.
To collect the carbon from the atmosphere. And secondly, they will release the one
already existing.
Yes.
The damage.
Yeah, so that is what happens. And that is what happens. And if they are not there, especially for humans, we know that we have an exchange with trees.
True.
We breathe out carbon dioxide, and we breathe in oxygen. And they take in the carbon dioxide and give us oxygen.
Of course.
So you can imagine what happens when there are no more. I think it's the Chinese saying that say, when the last tree dies, the last man dies. But before it gets the last tree to die, the last man will have been long gone.
Will probably have died, yes.
So also it's a major problem in Nigeria when we talk about deforestation. And then it continues unabated. And we are losing our forest estate very fast.
Yes. So I want us to really talk about because I've heard how the trees and plantations, these greens affect our climates and temperature. Please just really tell me about that.
You see, what we do in the atmosphere is that's what we do in our environment.
Yes.
Is the fact that, as I said earlier, that we are all intertwined.
Okay.
We all live together in a balance. Nature has created a balance. So what we give out, the trees are supposed to take in. So when we give out things and the trees are not there to take it,
it will come back
excess.
to us.
Yes, it becomes excess. And apart from that, because what we breathe out is actually infinitesimal compared to what the trees can do. But now we are now adding that to it by putting fossil fuel out there, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, chlorofluorocarbons, say what called CFCs and things like that, which now altogether called the greenhouse gases.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to mention. I want to mention, are these all components of
greenhouse
or what we
gases.
call greenhouse gases?
Yes. And then the idea of a greenhouse gas is that they don't allow easy penetration. Okay, the sun penetrates down into the earth.
Okay.
And you know that we're supposed to when it hits the earth, it's supposed to radiate back to space.
Okay.
The UV rays needs to radiate back to space.
Okay.
But because of these gases, the UV rays are trapped within the earth. So, and that is what is causing what we call the global warming. It's warming the earth because we are retaining more temperature than we ought to retain. More power from the sun. So when it comes in, it's supposed to radiate back.
But it doesn't because we have
been trapped. So because we're trapped, number one, we are releasing so much fossil gases, and then burning so much fossil fuel and releasing gases, and then we are not having, and we are then deforesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are causing a problem, and the solution we
are also destroying the solution. So there is, in fact, we are causing two problems.
Exactly.
And then that's causing chain reactions.
Chain reactions, yes. And that is where you find out that areas where there will be changes in rainfall pattern, weather pattern, and when that happens, it affects especially
like
agriculture.
Last year,
especially that we have rain-fed agriculture. It affects that because rainfall pattern changes. There are some places that used to have rains before, the rains will be more. Some places like the arid region that don't have rains, we will have
even less.
So that's where you call drought, and then there'll be flooding. So you wonder why not interchange, so that areas that they have less rain will have more, and areas that have so much rain will have less, so there won't be flooding. But all of that's also some changes in patterns. So you have arid areas will be drier, and the wet areas will be wetter.
Wow.
So we have all of these knock-on effects and chain reactions that go on because of our activities.
Wow.
And all of this is linked somehow to deforestation.
Not somehow. It's actually, it's a straight line.
Yeah,
it's a very straight line.
Yeah, so why I say somehow is because there are deforestation. Deforestation on one hand, the forest on one hand is supposed to create that solution. But because we have now
cut them
down
down
now, so it becomes, it kind of is linked to it.
Because if those trees were there, say we were living sustainably and we are maintaining the lungs of this world, which is our forests, we're not cutting them down, and maybe we are still producing fossil fuel, letting them out, I don't think the damage would have been as much as...
Just like we talked about poaching, the rate at which you take is more than the reproduction.
And
so this one, the rate at which we produce is more than we take. So there always, when that balance is distorted, then there will be a problem.
True.
You see, another thing again that the environment does for us. So you have areas like this. When rain falls, the tree, the canopy and everything breaks down the current so that the water percolates gently, so there won't be erosion. But by the time you deforest the place,
there is no protection.
Bare. So the torrent hits, and then there's runoff completely, and then there's flood. So you can see in every front we are losing. And that's why you find that some areas where they have where they are around mountainous areas where there is
slopes.
There's slopes. You find out that when the retention level of the soil is so much, there's so much moisture, you have what we call landslide. And when that landslide happens, it destroys homes, it destroys farmlands, it destroys people's livelihood.
Wow.
So you can see at the end of the day, humans
We're
are still
hurting ourselves.
on the receiving end.
Hurting ourselves.
Yes.
And now you mentioned something about farmlands.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that a little bit, because most times deforestation also happens because of agriculture.
Yes, and we have, as conservation biologists, we are not averse to development. We are not averse to agriculture. Now we have come. Is an old concept that is gaining ground now. What we call agroforestry, where it doesn't have to be either or. It can actually happen side
Together.
by side. Yes, where even some of those species are even important and beneficial to some of the crops that we plant. So instead of going there and clearing the whole forest because we want to plant, is there a way that we can embed some of these things together, so that together they will be able to move side by side? So that's an area we're also trying to explore. So deforestation has a different angle. It has different drivers. You know, if as I talk about sustainably, there are things where we need to do sustainably. Sometimes because we don't do it sustainably, and that's what results into what we are seeing. So that we are clearing our forest estate at a rate where we are not regrowing them. Even if we want to plant them, some trees they've been standing, they've been growing for the past 30, 40, 60 years. So even if we are going to plant it, it's to take that number of time. So there must be proper forest management for us to be able to overcome that issue.
Because it's not because we've started planting. There's this thing when they have movements for, say, green movements, we are regreening and everything, and then you feel because you've planted trees, you don't even go there and pour water for one day, and then you think it will grow.
That is the ceremonial planting, and that is where we come in as NCF, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. We saw that that's a problem, and that's why we birthed a program, an ambitious program we call the Green Recovery in Nigeria. Over time, Nigeria's forest cover from the 1960s, we've lost over 90 to 95% of our forest estates. Yeah, so we have maybe around 7% or so. So that is why NCF we launch this ambitious project so that we'll be able to regreen Nigeria back to at least 25%, because according to FAO, that is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, and UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, is we need to have in every land space, we need to have at least 25% of that should be green. Yeah, should be forested. So that is what we are trying to see how we can build that back in the next 40 years. So that's what the program is all about. So we are launching out, and the way we do it, we are not just talking about planting, which is what we call afforestation.
Yes.
Or we are not talking about reforestation, that is places that already have trees that were cut, we want to replant and then reforest that place. We're also looking at natural regeneration, like a place like this that was deforested about 30 years ago. Now with proper protection, we left it has grown like this. Or we have areas that are like this and to remain like this, because you cannot be planting protect them. Yes, proper reserve protection. Protected area management, proper protected area management. So that is how it all encompasses, and that's how we can fight this deforestation. If it's just about tree planting, we would have just be planting, and then sometimes, as you mentioned, they may not even grow.
They may not grow.
Yeah, so we're talking about planting on one hand and also protecting, so that we don't do a zero-sum activity. Because you are planting on one hand and is being taken on the other hand. Another thing again is that our approach is to engage communities.
You know what? I think we are going to pick up from your approach later on. But let's talk about the products, the reason. You know, human beings, we are beings of reason.
Yeah.
We do things for a purpose.
Yeah.
So these trees that we're cutting down, the deforestation, we actually need it for wood and even arable land to build, and because the population keeps increasing, and we have to put these people somewhere. So is there a way, what can we do, what is there to fall back on? Because we need these trees for wood to build our houses, we need land, that's space to do our businesses, for road, for to allow movement. We need these things. So is there any way, what is there to fall back to?
Okay, yeah, so you said, you talked about the reason. Let me start from the reason. Yeah, we need timber,
We do.
we need land to develop. Yes, and we need, apart from land to develop, we also need space for agriculture.
Of course.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, all these things can go together. So when we do timber, we deforest. That is why Nigeria's government came up with the idea that before we export our timber, instead of exporting them unprocessed, at least let it be semi-processed.
Because you are giving these people everything and they're not paying up to what. And
yeah, so, because if we have the industries here in the country, it would have been processed here and then exported. Meanwhile, you will have provided jobs for the teaming youth. You will have provided raw materials for people who are around, because at every stage there are different
raw
values
materials that you get.
You can extract for others. But by the time you take it whole, they will use everything and then they will sell it. They will even
sell it back to you.
They sell it back to us.
More expensive. And if we are processing it here, the goods become less expensive.
Exactly, and then you
and
have,
readily
because
available.
Of the value chain, every part of the value chain, you are improving somebody's economy.
Of course.
And then as individuals or as communities, and then as a nation as a whole, we get the value from that.
We do.
So when we, and because of the need, because of the desire to export more, so we are exporting more than we are reproducing. So at the end of the day, definitely we are not able, and that's why we have this deforestation. Other countries also use their wood, but they are using it sustainably. For instance, if we are going to say, okay, for the next 30 years, we're not going to touch this estate. Let's harvest this estate. We don't have anything like that. So you find out that we just harvest everywhere. And even if we have that kind of practice, it's in isolated cases. So we are not saying that we should not develop. We are not saying that people should not, because we need to use this.
We do.
Yeah. So that is why we need to come up with different ideas, and we as an NGO, we are coming up with different ideas, which we have been doing with our partners, and different organizations are also seeing what they can do in that space. In terms of, for instance, woodlots for communities who need firewood. Even though it has health implications.
It does.
Because especially the women folks, they'll have to go very far to go and fetch this firewood, reducing productive time for them to go to school and productive time to take care of their health. You see, so it has health implications, it has economic implications, it has even social implications as well.
Yes.
So you see that all of these, we are better off if we have the environment working well for us, and if we have our forests intact. And that's why an alternative to wood, fuel wood, will be fuel efficient stoves, which for now are even more expensive, more than the normal.
So expensive.
Yes, the normal housewife they can afford. So these are all the things that needs to be done for us to be able to overcome this. So talking about fuel wood, we also talk about the space for agriculture, and that's why I talked about agroforestry earlier on, so that we don't have to clear every land, because we even need some of these trees to be able to help the crops that we are going to produce. I want to talk about development. Estate developers, we don't have to clear everywhere. Because I know there's a law in Lagos. How it's being implemented is another thing. But I know that there's 25% of every land should be green.
We're coming to that part as well. We're coming to that part. It would interest you to know that iBrandTV has a parent company, that is Pali Agro, which is into what you're saying, planting sustainably, doing green work or agriculture the right way.
Oh wow, that would be really nice. And these are the kind of corporate organizations that we would like to partner with, so that we'll be able to even show them how to do it even more,
even better.
Yeah, even better. you know,
Wow,
so that we'll be able to even expand it, and others also will be able to see it and emulate such good examples. So when the laws are implemented, at least they are ensured that it will make people do the right thing, and they will not be seeing the kind of devastation we saw with our pterocarpus the last time that we saw. Another thing that we need to also put in place is to look for alternatives, especially when it comes to communities. Alternative way to fuel, to burn their, provide energy for them.
Yes.
Yeah, whether it's by solar or by fuel efficient stoves. That would number one, will not produce too much smoke. It has health implication, and also will not burn too many wood if they must burn wood.
For pollution, to reduce pollution.
Exactly. And then you have woodlot as well, where you have fast growing trees that will be able to grow very fast and supply the needs for the community. So that's the way, even that one will be harvested sustainably, in the sense that, okay, yeah, this is what we will have harvest this part and leave this part to grow, and so on and so forth, so that we'll be able to put that together. And again, all of us. Yes, all of us.
I was about to mention greed. I've been waiting for this man to say greed, but he's too kind, so I'm going to do it for him.
Oh, yeah, well, greed is what I talked about, though I didn't call it greed when I said we just went and cleared everything.
Wickedly.
Yes, we cleared everything from these states, and then we're just exporting them out. Even the effect is still littered. I saw a picture about last week here, that some if you travel between Serti from Gashaka down to Jalingo, you will see the road littered with woods, with pterocarpus, kosovo, all over the place. They've been cut. So if you ask how much of this wood have been replanted, you may get that probably 1 or less percentage have been replanted.
And the funny thing is, the people we are exporting to are very smart people.
Yeah, they have their own. Especially they have their own. They have their own wood.
And the thing is, I want to say this, correct me if I'm wrong, they get this and they are able to research, they have the facilities to research, and then they know what to plant to get a tree like the one they're importing, or whatsoever
exactly.
it is.
They have their own. They have their own wood, but they would rather choose to deforest
other people's
countries.
own.
Yeah, because we don't have very stringent laws, I must say.
Which is very bad.
Yeah, which is bad, and it's affecting all of us, not just the government, because we are the government.
True.
Yeah, the government is not the person that, it will affect the person. It affects all of us.
Of course.
Because at the end of the day, it's our common heritage. Whether it's domiciled in the state that I'm not a part of, but eventually whatever happens to that state happens
to all of us as well.
Yes, and that is why we all need to come together to see what we can. Number one, we need to create that awareness. People need to be aware of what we are doing, damage we are doing, and how can we help?
How can we help?
How can we help? We should, apart from the ceremonial tree planting days that we normally have, let us make it to be real.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's make it to be real. And I want us
during our birthdays, we should plant trees. Our anniversary.
I heard of a place
when you toast a lady and she agrees, go and
plant trees.
Everything.
I heard a place. I don't know if it's in India. When a child is born, there's a tree.
I think the community can make that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
When a child is born, if it's a male child, you plant 2 trees. If it's a female child, you plant 10 trees.
Ha!
Or you may turn it the other way around. If it's a male child, you plant
10 trees, and if a female child, you plant 2 trees.
But because female children are very, very valuable, you plant more trees. Because you need more trees to take care of them when they grow.
Okay, so doctor, I'm going to have to stop for now, because there are other things we have to discuss, especially in relation with deforestation, afforestation, and just regrading the environment. And so I don't even have an outro or what to say, because he has already asked you, what are you doing? Pricking your heart, are you responding to all that is being said here? Yes, you, because we feel that this is one person's job. No, we all have our parts to play. Make sure that you take out greed from your heart, and make sure that you are approaching nature and all the products that nature gives us freely with reverence, with an open mind and less greed. I hope that's enough. Yes, enough said. Make sure to follow iBrandTV on all social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. My name is Success Caminus. I will see you next time on Mother Earth. Goodbye.